Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're going to continue the series on definitions, and today we're going to talk about trickle down economics, aka conservative economics. So let's just get into it. Um, One of the arguments I hear consistently, specifically about like why people are questioning supporting Democrats or Kamala more so, is about the economy. They just make kind of these generalist statements that they feel that their lives were better economically under Republican administrations, even though, go fact check it, you can do economies based on presidential elections, and you can see that the economies that did best were all Democratic. So Obama, Biden, Clinton, uh, all of our economies did better during these administrations than under Bush 1 and 2 and under Trump. So go fact check that 100%. Just basic economics. There may be like small indicators that like ebbed and flowed, but just in general, in terms of how many jobs our economy produced, unemployment rates, GDP, stock market, all these things that we kind of like benchmark about a positive economy will speak to that. And I digress on why we kind of just like have this notion that conservatives are better. It's kind of brainwashing, but the facts don't really coincide with that. But I digress. I just want to get into these definitions, and we can go with like just what even conservative means, right? So I'm just going to read the definition of conservative, and it is a person who is adverse to change and holds traditional values. So I ask, like most people that aren't, the people that this country was set up to have lead, which in the Constitution was like white Christian landowning men, um, why are you adverse to change? Every bit of change that happened in this country has been to grant other people, other than those people, greater access. So if you're setting yourself up as being someone that's adverse to change, um, especially if you're a person that has not had equity historically in this nation, I think like that's just counterproductive, right? You know what I'm saying? And it sort of holds true to why, the majority of white landowning Christian males are conservatives, right? Because the country was set up to have them have an advantage, and they want to conserve that, right? They don't want anything that's going to change, literally. Why would they? And then I want to get you to conservative economic policy, which is literally trickle down economics. And I feel like people don't really understand it, but like, let's just get the definition of trickle first, right? So, trickle as a verb means to flow in a small stream, a solitary tear trickled down her cheek. Some synonyms are drip, dribble, drizzle, a very, 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 very slow, flow of something, right? And the noun is to go or appear slowly or gradually. The first members of the congregation began to trickle in, a trickle of blood. So it's meant to denote something very, very, very small, right? A single tear. You know what I'm saying? Like, and how does a trickle happen, right? It happens after whatever is holding the liquid fills up ever so slightly, that maybe one thing will come in. You know what I'm saying? Like very, very slow, very gradual, nothing of abundance, right? So I think you're going to get what I'm getting to. Right now, we're going to go into the definition of trickle down economics. So let's, even in the layman's term, before I read the definition, do you want stuff to trickle to you? Like, is that your economic policy? Is like you want a single solitary something that once the abundance is filled, that you might get a trickle. Not the abundance, but a trickle. But let's just read the definition of it, and I quote, trickle down economics is a theory that economic policies that benefit the wealthy will eventually benefit everyone else in the economy. The theory is based on the idea that the wealthy will spend more money, which literally is not true economically. Literally, it's not true, which will trickle down to the rest of society. Every stimulus that has ever been placed shows that people like you and me spend the money. And every time that we've given a kind of stimulus to the upper echelons of businesses, what have they done? They've bought stock buybacks. You know what I'm saying? It's like they've invested it in themselves. They did not make new jobs. They did not do research in industry. And we could see that as recently as like the bank recession that we had in the early 2000s, right? There was a huge recession going on, and then the government had to bail out these failing banks. And what did they do? They bought stock. They increased their savings and coffers. They did not help us out. Some of them didn't even repay loans. I was like, so a matter is like, we know what this happens, right? Also, trickle down economics, in another definition, is also known as supply side economics. So, supply and demand. Supply is the people that got all the money and all the resources, right? It involves policies such as tax cuts, deregulation for corporations and the wealthy, in the hopes that this will stimulate economic growth. Right? So again, it's just saying, in short theory, give the rich people everything. Give them all the money, all the incentives. And we hope that once they get rich enough, because if that's ever a rich enough thing, right? They might trickle you down some shit. Like that's literally the theory. And if we have a little history, because I love history, this was tried in America, right? Specifically, and I need you to Google this. It's called the Horse and Sparrow Act. Horse and Sparrow economics. The first time it was present in America was in the 1890s, and it literally caused the Great Depression. It caused the worst economic situation in American history. And in theory of what it means, just in layman's terms, it's just like the theory that if you feed a horse enough oats, that the sparrows can eventually eat, which means it's kind of a nasty analogy, right? Like, because oats and corns and things kind of pass through the digestive tract. And they're saying that, hey, even the sparrows could eat the horses. If you feed the horses enough oats, some of it will come out in their shit. And then that the sparrows, which are known as like little, not really commanding birds, like that's why it's called sparrows. It's not called eagles or, ravens. It's like little sparrows. They can also eat too. So just that whole economic theory of just supplying all the rich everything that they need will somehow work. And has it worked now? Like, when has there ever been a time in history where the rich have had enough? Where they're like, we're doing so good, we're just going to sprinkle on you. Never has that happened. It's always been the workers fighting up. It's always been trying to get unions. It's always trying to get minimum wage. It's always the government having to force regulations so that they will help us, right? So they will give us things like overtime and 40-hour work weeks, and they'll recall products that are unhealthy, that they will stop things like monopolies, right? Because a monopoly, why would you, in terms of capitalism and freedom and Republicans, why would you literally stop that? Because it hurts us. It literally hurts us. How many times have we even seen in the media today all these recalls? Like, I think today they had a recall of like over like 30 kinds of frozen waffles that at the end of the day were still made by one company. It's giving you fake choice. It's not even real choice. They're just swallowing up other companies and still doing the same corrupt shit. So I'm just saying to you that, like, look at the words. Look at the word conservative. Look at the word trickle. If you're not a rich person, what are you conserving? What do you hope to get in the trickle? You need to have all ships rising. You need to have minimum wage things. You need to have things that, like, raise all ships in the economy, and not just hoping that if you make massa happy enough. It's just like a slave mentality, right? Oh, if the slave picks enough cotton, maybe the slave master will be nice to the slave. What are we doing here? And how is you, a person, going to advocate that policy that literally says the people that have all the money keep it? And matter of fact, we're going to have all the economic policy that makes sure you get more, but please give us some. Is that how you want to use government? Is that how it's in theory even supposed to be run? Like, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid and allow these people to think, and allow these people to promote and control your mind to think that that is something that actually ever benefits you. It never has in the past, it isn't currently, and it never will in the future. So please miss me with that. Conserve nothing. Get the change that we need. Until next time.